How's it, ladies and gents? Welcome to the Brave with the Brand podcast. I'm Josh from Deeds Freak Media. Today I'm joined with Mr. Kevin from JFK. How's it going, my man?
Good
Thanks
yourself,
so
man.
much
Thanks
for
for having
coming
me.
around.
Thanks for having me,
Taking the
gents.
time to take the time.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, you just want to give us a small little bit of an introduction here just for the viewers. Obviously, some will know you, some will not know you.
Yeah. So what's up, guys? My name is Kevin. I'm from Gqeberha / Port Elizabeth, PE for those of us who are from here. Others who want to keep them fancy, GQ. I am a graphic designer and illustrator. That's what I would like to be known for, actually. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
graphic designer and illustrator. But yeah, that's just that's essentially a short, brief introduction.
No problem. So as the podcast goes, the headline is basically how your side hustle turned in how your idea turned into a side hustle and how you maintain it.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of different guests obviously coming in and out with different industries, etc.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I always ask is how did the light bulb go off in your head? This is what I want to do, or how did you start? Where did it all start for you?
Okay, so with me, it was kind of a thing where, like, because of my family, in my family there's a lot of artists. So like my father's a portrait artist, but he also has been doing silk screening for a very long time.
Okay.
Like since I was like since I was small. And then I've got uncles and aunts and cousins who also just draw. One of my cousins was a tattoo artist. One of my uncles is a fine artist. He actually had like his artwork in galleries around the country and stuff like that. And he was also a photographer at the stage, so it kind of ran in the bloodstream.
So you were second or third generation?
I'm a second, yeah. My grandfather wasn't an artist, but my father is. My father's a portrait artist, and like he's just generally creative.
Yeah.
So it made it very easy because I was surrounded by it. And
Okay.
then, like I'm sure you would have seen it. Like you remember when we were in primary school, like if you didn't do it yourself, you had a friend who would always draw like Dragon Ball Z characters or something. You sit in class and do it. Like I went through that phase and stuff like that. But it wasn't until much later, like going through life. There was a time when I wasn't drawing at all because I did it in primary school, and then there was a time when I stopped, and then that was in high school, and then dancing kind of took over. And I was super active in like the dance community in PE.
Okay.
And then I've told the story before, but a crossroad where I believe that if you want to do something, do it properly, but you have to also focus as much time and energy in it. Then you kind of can't do too much because unless you have the capacity and the time to focus on doing three things and be good at all three things, kind of funnel yourself into the one and be really good at that one. And I wanted to choose, okay, cool. Do I continue b-boying or do I dance? At the time, I was drawing for way longer than I was dancing, even like for the time that I was actively dancing. So I thought, okay, cool. Look, I feel like I'm way better at drawing and like coming up with like designs and stuff than I am at dancing. So let's take all the energy, put it into design and drawing and see how far that goes. But in the end, it was worth it because I've worked with a couple of people who have been doing really big things in the city and also around the country. So I feel like in the end, I made the right decision.
Okay.
Because I know me as a person also, like I did enjoy dancing, it was dope, but at the same time I wasn't as driven as some of the guys I was dancing with at that point in time. Like these guys made it their entire life. They would never miss rehearsal, they would never miss a training session, where I'd be like, I haven't smart trained today, but my body's still sore from the last one, I'm gonna skip this one. But like when it came to drawing, I never needed a reason to pick up a pencil. You know what I'm saying? If I smart to now, I'm gonna, no matter what I was doing, okay, if I can't do it now, I'll make a mental note or I'll write it down on a piece of paper, go home and try and draw this and see how it looks, or see how it turns out. And that's how I made the decision, okay, cool, listen, put drawing on the back burner for now, we can always come back to it as like a way to keep fit and keep active. But I decided, like, look, I'm gonna stick to the pencil game and see how it turns out. And in the end, it was, to me, it felt like the better of the two choices.
Okay, 100%. With regards to your skill set, is there anything from background? Obviously, as you said, you're second generation artist. Is there anything in your skill set, apologies, that has basically given you like a formal level of education, whether it be going to a school, a college, a university, taking creative courses, something online, maybe something like it?
Nothing at all. People are always surprised when I say this because I've stolen knowledge from friends that have either studied fine art, studied graphic design, or marketing and things like that. But I've never gone to school for art at all.
Okay.
It's kind of one of those things like, you know,
Not
when you
even
have
at school.
I know when I was in high school, they didn't the art department at my school like was shut down because I was hoping to take art as a subject.
Okay.
And then by the time I got to the stage where you pick subjects, you know, like you get to grade 9, then they start giving out the forms. Okay, cool. They have these little sections where you can pick. Art was off the list, and I'm looking for it. I'm like, oh, it's not here. And I spoke to one of the teachers. They're like, oh no. At the time I was in grade 9, the guys who were in grade 11 were like the last. So I missed that by like 2 years.
Okay.
So I sliced. And then it was I wouldn't say it was too late to transfer to a new school, but it would have been, at the time, would have been difficult to transfer to a school that does have art as a subject.
Where were you?
I was at St. Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out St. Thomas.
All the alumni. But yeah, so I went to that school, but I didn't have any formal training where art was concerned. I think it's more like you know, when you have a friend who's his father played hockey, his grandfather played hockey, and now like down the line, he's just also a really good hockey player. Just as an example, I feel like that's what happened with me because, like I said, my father's been drawing. Like at the time, my father was also known as somebody who was a very arty person.
Yeah.
And like I said, because I was surrounded by him and like either the silk screening or him drawing portraits of people or drawing random things, it was easy for me to pick it up because that was some of the like it was a bonding thing with me and him. We would just sit and draw.
Okay.
So yeah, but I wasn't ever formally trained at all. The only thing that you could say is when like I spent time with friends who either went for that formal training or studied it, and we would just chill and draw together, or like I'd sit and watch them do something, and I'd like literally just steal from them by watching them do what they were doing. But other than that, no formal training or education on it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the moment you're full time with the graphics and the drawing, right?
Yeah, like it's we call it the second job. Yeah, but just essentially it is the.
So what's the first job?
So I work in logistics.
Okay.
Yeah, I work in logistics. It's kind of it's an industry that I haven't been able to escape. I have actually applied for jobs with graphic design and I've gotten really far, but I always get beat out by the fact that whoever gets the job over me always has more experience actually working in the field. Even if there was a time when I applied for a job, I won't mention like the name of the places, but it's a place in PE, and my portfolio was strong. They actually told me that my portfolio as a freelancer was stronger than the person that they hired. But I just asked them, listen, just so I know for future why wasn't I chosen for the job? And they were like, listen, we'll be honest with you. They were working at a printing place before, and they're applying to work at another. It was a printing place. Like they make like business cards and like any kind of print material, man.
Yeah.
Posters and like packaging and things.
Okay.
And I've experienced working and doing that because my father works for a place that does all that kind of printing and stuff.
Okay.
And I've had customers and people ask me, oh, I need to make a box for this baby shower. Can you do it? I'm like, sure, I can. So I learned how, kind of just taught myself, like you download the template online, you smack the design and send it to print, they print it and cut it and you're good. Okay. So even though I know how to do all those things, the fact that just I was beat up by plain and simple experience. But I do consider it like my second job.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Design and illustration is literally my second job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With regards to I like the space that you're in because obviously I've said this before on many of the episodes that statistically PE's got one of the higher numbers of people that graduate from educational institutions, whether it be a college, a university, or a private institution, that are currently working in a different field to what they actually qualified in, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a little bit to say about it for us?
I find it very interesting, and there was a time. Okay, a lot of the guests don't know, but we did have a conversation about this. Okay, I was actually on the podcast before, and that was one of the things I actually wanted to address on it. I would have loved to get like some form of industry professional, whether it be somebody in HR or like somebody at a recruitment agency.
Yeah.
And actually ask them that question and find out how somebody might go, for example, they study IT and then they end up being like an administrator. And the only time they touch a computer is to like data capture or something, you know?
Yeah.
I've always found it interesting. PE is one, and I've noticed it because all the friends that I have that are living in places like Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, whatever they've studied is what they're doing for a living. Yeah. They literally, if you study to be a doctor, regardless of what kind of doctor, unless they obviously specialize, like, okay, cool, this person wants to be a physiotherapist or whatever, they actually end up being what they studied. But in PE, it's like you find somebody like, oh, I've got a law degree. It's like, but bro, you work in sales. How is you study to be a lawyer, but you end up, for example, you sell car parts. It's insane to me. It's really I to this day I still don't understand it, but it's become so normal in PE for people to just study something for the sake of having papers behind your name, and then whichever job is the one that's going to take you is the one that you end up taking.
100%.
Yeah, it's just that's how.
I
That's
said
how
this on the previous episode as well, but I think people in PE and people outside of PE don't realize that we're actually a small town. So even with the astronomical numbers of our population, I just think that our numbers there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. So I just think like along with the numbers that we've got here, we suffered like significant knocks in terms of the factories, automotive specifically, maybe off the top of my head, in the past few years that have basically packed and moved to either a different city or a different
or
location.
shut down completely.
Or shut down altogether. So it's a matter of survival, basically, is what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Also, while we're just like on the topic of the education and the practicing, like if you were to look at yourself in a mirror and I put you in a time capsule, go back maybe say, I don't know, 15 years.
Okay.
Is there anything you would have done different to enhance your craft?
Yes. I would have if you were to send me back in time 15 years ago, I would have taken it seriously back then already. Like I would have focused more time on it because I have anything that anybody doesn't take seriously. It's not something that you just wake up one day and you decide, okay, cool, I'm gonna go and play soccer. Like you're 24 years old and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go play soccer today, and then you play a match and you score a hat-trick. It doesn't happen that way. You need to put in time. And people don't really realize it, but even when it comes to not just like drawing physically with a pencil, when it comes to doing design as well, designers have a different eye, or anybody that deals with visually creative art forms. Your eye is very different because you look for things that other people don't really see.
100%.
Yeah. So you have to train your eye to understand it. Like you have to train like to notice the difference in colors. Because a thing like color theory is super important. Getting things like to a point where when you're putting a poster together and you can there's normally shortcuts for certain things, and when you're doing design work, so like you press control whatever and then it'll put everything in the middle, it'll center everything out for you. But be able to do that with a mouse and not need the shortcut buttons takes time. It's not something that you can just wake up and do one day. So I could go back in time and tell myself something. Even though I was taking it seriously, there were also gaps in between where I kind of just got lazy. There's one particular gap that I'll bring up now, and I'll tell you about it. But I would have pushed myself and be like, listen, there's going to be a gap that comes and you're going to stop doing what you're doing. Just like if you need to write it down or spray paint it on your wall, on your ceiling. So when you wake up every morning and you see the ceiling, you remember to don't ever take that gap. Don't take that break and keep going. Because there was one project that I did and I did it alone. Like I told you, my father's been doing silk screen printing for like the longest time. A lot of people don't really take advantage of like the resources that they have. We know guys that do, like either their parents have a business and they naturally just take over it next door. They kind of use their parents' resources and start their own thing.
100%.
What I did was I started. It literally was the brand was the name of my side business now. So it was called just for Kickz Tees, and I used to come up with t-shirt designs. Because my favorite thing to wear, anyone who knows me long enough will know, like even just like if you the easiest gift to get me is a t-shirt, especially a plain one, because I'm gonna do something on it. So it's like, get me a plain t-shirt and I'll handle the rest. So what I had done was, I'll send you some reference images so you can throw it up. But Shukri should also have photos because he did a shoot for me once when I did it again. So I came up with brands, I came up with this brand, and I would come up with t-shirt designs. And I was like selling it privately initially, and then it got to a point where I had a rack, a literal physical clothing rack of my own in a store, and all I had to do was supply them with shirts, and they would sell it throughout the month, and every month they would just pay me the money from what they sold. They would keep their piece and they would give me my piece, and it would go on. And I kind of let the main hustle derail me because I gave it more priority because that's what you're told to do.
Yeah.
But I wish that I didn't. And I stuck to it because I would have been at a different place completely. I might have had a store of my own by now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It might have grown to the point where like local personalities, let's call them that, in either fields, because I mean, a lot of the guys are being sponsored by different clothing brands, some of them local, some of them not. I could have had like Sia Khaleesi wearing my t-shirt at the World Cup at the point. You know what I'm saying? It could have been anything like that, where he walks out before the game and he's going to go to the locker room and he's wearing the t-shirt that I made. I could have gotten that point, but it's only because I slacked a bit. So if I could go back in time in 15 years ago, I'd be like, bruh, listen, it works. It's working. Don't stop. Because there's going to be a time when you're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to rather focus on the main job and put this one aside for a bit. And that's where things are going to start going downhill. That's the first thing I would have done.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the questions I also wanted to ask you, I'm going to have to ask it now before we get distracted. You kind of touched into it a little bit.
Sure.
With your artistic process, is this completely with a pen and a pencil, or do you do aero? Do you do spray painting? Do you do brush?
No.
Digital? I know you do digital, sorry, but I mean just for reference for the pod. You keep on referring to drawing and writing.
Yeah.
So am I right in assuming that the majority of your process starts with a pen or pencil?
Yes. So anyone who's a designer will tell you, or somebody that has actually been designing long enough, or that designs things from scratch, will tell you that a lot of the times it's better to draw something on paper and then digitize it later. Or just give yourself a general idea, just kind of see what you want it to be like. And be like, okay, I can take it and then either take a photo of it and just copy the photo to my laptop and then take it from there. Okay. I was going to say no offense to people who use Canva, because you don't have to draw anything at all. But if you have to draw something from scratch, it's better, because half the work is already done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Half the work's already done. So a lot of the times when I come up with stuff for people, I do have a drawing or like a concept drawing of it.
Okay.
Somewhere, chilling there. Even if it's not like
part of your preparation
process. It's part of my process, yeah. Like for a lot of times. A lot of the times when people explain an idea to me, I can kind of wing it and not have to be like, okay, cool, I need to get paper now and just draw this in my head. There'll be people that can, hopefully they watch this, they can actually vouch for me. If I'm not near you, and like, let's say, even if we're in the same city, but like you need something in a hurry, I've told clients, and even a lot of my clients are my friends, but they've been clients that want my friends, and I've told them, okay, cool, do me a favor, just doodle it on a piece of paper for me and send it to me. That's it. All I need you to do is just draw, even if it looks like, like the old stickman drawing, was just like single lines. Draw it and send it to me, because that helps me understand what you want.
Yeah.
Seeing it down, because you can describe it to me, but a lot of the times when somebody describes something to you, the way that they see it in their head and the way that you are understanding what they're saying is not exactly the same thing. Sometimes it's the complete opposite. So I'll tell clients, but I just draw it for me. Just get a piece of paper, doodle it, and send it back to me. And 9 out of 10, when I do the design and I send it back to them, like, brah, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. Shot. Thank you. So drawing it down on paper generally does help a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a point in your life where you realized, like, I'm not part of the stickman phase? Yeah. Obviously, growing up.
Yes, there was.
I'm sure somebody out there is wondering.
Yeah,
I don't want to generalize, but I would say like 90% of kids in school, you don't start as...
You draw face the first time.
Yeah, you started with a big circle. I can't draw to save my life.
Yeah. I get you.
I also use Canva, and also I'm sure there'll be a lot of tools that I want to cover a bit later on. But I mean, just in general, for the mere sake, was there a point in your time where obviously you started off drawing basically, but as you grew up or progressed in your art growing up, that you saw like people are still drawing stickmen and I'm
not anymore.
Drawing something more advanced.
It's almost like you unlocked the core memory, because I actually do remember roughly around when that happened. Yeah. So it happened when I was in primary school. I could have been in like grade 4. Because then I started seeing, like, I was heavy into comic books growing up.
What's your favorite comic? Give him a shout.
Spider-Man. It's always been Spider-Man. It will always be Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. But yeah, so I didn't have a lot of access there, but I had access to the X-Men comics growing up. I had access to He-Man. I had access to Sonic the Hedgehog and Ninja Turtles, which is my second favorite comic franchise of all time. And then I remember that I used to see these drawings, but some of them, this is actually how it happened. So in comic books, you get bigger frames and smaller frames, depending on how the story is flowing. Yeah. So there'll be a big picture on some page, and then some there'll be like a lot of small pictures and like people with dialogue. And I was looking at some of them, like, this picture is really small, but it looks really cool. I would like to see this little square frame bigger. And I was like, I wonder if I can draw it bigger. And that's literally where it started. I'm pretty sure I was in grade 4. I was in grade 4. And then it started off with like Sonic was the easiest, because he doesn't have that much detail going on. So I was like, okay, cool, let me do Sonic. And then I took a little small, I'm pretty sure I still have the drawing at home. I just put it in a file and I left it. And one day, like a while back, I found it. I was like, damn, I still have this. It was very rough, obviously, but compared to what my classmates were doing at the time, that moment where it was like, yeah, okay, maybe. Because these dudes are still drawing like just basic shapes of things.
I want to know what's going on in your head at this point. Are you obviously you still a youngster?
Yeah.
In grade 4, I'm not saying we silly at that point in time, but you're not like
I'm like,
I can make some money, bread and butter from this, Is there like a point that goes through your mind like, hey, maybe something's wrong with me because I'm writing or drawing like this and they're doing it like that? Or is it kind of like inspired from what you said from your father?
Yeah, it was normal for me.
Checking him out.
Yeah, it was normal for me because, like I said, I was surrounded by art. So for me to progress like that was, it felt normal to me because it was like me and my father and my cousins that I would like see now and again. And then, so me being able to draw at a level that was, I wouldn't, but let's use it for the sake of the scenario.
Yeah.
But better than children my age at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny because there was also like, I mean, I was in the class with children generally all the same age as me. But one of my friends he runs faster than the rest of us. We're not like, bruh, he's an alien because he spins fast. It's normal because you then find out, oh, that's what Stupi used to do athletics when he was younger. So he's Stupi, like obviously when he ran, he's Stupi or push him or whatever, naturally. So to me, it felt normal. Even my friends didn't make me feel weird about it. They were like, bro, oh my word, can you draw this for me? I'm like, yeah, bring your maths book, tear out the page. Give me the page, I'll do it. So that also helped with like kind of just honing the craft a bit more because I was drawing a lot at that point in time.
Okay.
And it was like I said, you would go to Spa. Tanya's buying some groceries, like, mommy, buy me a packet of chips. You get like a Taz or Dragon Ball Z Taz or something. And then like, this picture of Vegeta looks so dope, but it's so small. And then you just take it and make it the size of an A4 page. That's what happened with me. And a few other people that I knew as well, but that's where... But at that point, it was with the point where what you're saying now, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm different.
Yeah.
I'm different to everybody else.
Different is not always a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, but that's when that moment happened. I was like, okay, if I did this more, maybe, maybe something could happen.
Okay. So you walked us kind of through the educational process and basically your preparation during school now. So once you get into high school now, there's no art as a subject there. Is there any scanning from your side? Like there's somebody that I'm going to bring on in one of the later episodes that had I don't want to say impact, but he used to do some of the taxi designs like from way back. So you're born in Breda, right?
Yeah,
born in Breda.
I'm from the
So obviously you remember the era where we had
superstitious and stuff, yeah.
all the designs and
Rough
stuff.
Rider and everybody.
Rough Rider, etc. Yeah. So is there like...
know all those I know them very well, but that's stuff for another day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But is there like a section of your life, like shortly after high school, where you... I don't want to say like spray paint walls or something to kind of like perfect your craft.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. That's funny.
Did you actually go and do
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We did actually. The only reason I'm laughing loud is because for those of you who can't see, we do have somebody off camera to my right behind, and he's laughing with me because he knows about that day.
He didn't even tell me about it.
Nah, he won't because we didn't bring it up. But I'll tell you the story. So, Sugar's cousin Earl before I did the clothing brand thing that I did on my own. He did it, and the process of me starting to learn to do designs on shirts more started with my friend Al, Shukri's cousin, and his brand was called The Famous Dead. So he had this idea of like, look, it was his idea, and they saw that I'm very arty, so they were like, listen, Kev, would you want to be the designer for us? I was like, yeah, sure. I have this talent, I'm not gonna not do anything with it. We're my friends, I don't mind helping you. So we ran like a couple of designs at a stage, and then he also had them being sold out of a store. And that was what inspired me to also try and do it on my own because I didn't need anybody. I didn't have to outsource any of the work. I am the workforce. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't need anyone to do it for me. So then what happened was, if anybody knows the parking lot of tramways, so if you're going to the parking lot of tramways, you're underneath the freeway. If you're riding into the parking lot against the wall, like right at the back, there's a massive mural with like whales and like a dude wearing a gas mask and stuff. And then off to the right, off to the left, you'll see this random painting of Mickey Mouse, but Mickey Mouse has a skull for a head. Yeah, that was me and my that's why I'm laughing because
Okay.
you're telling us like, did you ever do this? I'm like, yeah, but I actually did. It's like
Somebody did it.
even though you didn't know, you asking the question like you already knew that I did it and you want to
I
make
saw
it,
it.
you want to make it seem like it's a neutral question. But it was me and a group of friends and we did that thing as like a marketing tool to market my friend's brand at the time. Because at that point in time, Barkins Valley and the section at the harbor,
Yeah.
there was a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Tramways wasn't the thing yet.
Yeah.
But it happened before the tramways building came up. But that thing's been there for bro. Like I don't know how long. Yo, it's like more than 10 years.
More than 10.
It's been there for a while, and it's stood the test of time because the red is still red, the yellow is still yellow, the black is still black. So we did a good job, and we did that at like we started at midnight, I think it was. We went there when we knew like no one was gonna be there, and then we didn't know. At the time, there used to be a club in the harbor. I can't remember the club's name, but some of you will probably remember. And please, it was before Dockside. It was before Dockside. But anyways, we were there, and that time the tramway park didn't have a fence around it. It was just pavement, so you could just walk in and out. Anyway, and we like full on like my hands are red covered in paint, my pants had paint splatters on it, and we just like trying to get this artwork done. And people are coming home from club and they're riding past and they're stopping and they're like, what's going on? They're getting out of cars to come and see what we're doing. Like, oh, nah, cool guys, it looks dope. And then they leave. And then some of it was friends of ours. And we just like, yeah, shut guys, thanks for popping in. And then, but it's the test of time and it's still there. So yes, I actually have, besides on like the businesses that I've worked on, there is artwork of mine that you will see like just on a random place. That's the only random place though. That's the only random place you'll see it. But yeah.
With regards to the creative process for you. So when I say the creative process, now you obviously mentioned that I know what it's like because I was doing quite a few design works, etc. But I'm not gonna lie, it's not for me because I feel like when you give people the selection of choice, you make some trouble for yourself in this specific industry, not for everything. But you mustn't tell. Okay, let me not say that. But you mustn't basically throw a white canvas there with 120 pens, you know? It's easier to work from a starting point, which is why you're saying that tell me what you want. I know I've had Big Chef here, it's a mutual friend of ours.
Shout out, big homie.
But
congratulations on the baby too.
Yeah, congrats. I actually saw him yesterday.
Yeah.
But if you had to look back at maybe something like what he wanted, it's a starting point because he's described something that he has. But I'm sure it has to have happened to you at least once where you went on with the customer or not, that they just telling you be creative. I want you to talk me through an experience you had like that. One for W and one for L.
Okay. I actually can, yeah. So Big Chef is a good example. Another person who is a good example of like where design work was really easy is Junior. I've done a few.
Oh, Junior
things.
King.
Junior King, yeah, is a personal friend.
Junior.
Shout out Junior. You need to come
I
on
haven't
here.
met him yet,
Yeah,
but
no, he's a cool
I would
guy.
definitely like to have him on the
You
pod as
should
well.
get him on here as well. So it's easier for me to work when I'm being given the trust from the jump, because you can tell when somebody's skeptical, like with the way they're speaking, you know, because they're overly involved in what you're doing. So it's not as simple like with Big Chef or somebody like Junior or whoever else I've worked with in the past. Another person who's very easy. You guys know Ayan's takeaways.
Yeah.
Tiffy is a very easy person to work with because he tells you, listen, this is what I need, sort me out, and you done and dusted. You show him what he'll tell you, okay, change this, do this, pay me hundreds. Cool. But what the most difficult thing is working with somebody that already doesn't really know what they want. And they're hoping that you will help them figure it out. But it's kind of like having somebody not know what their favorite cool drink is, and now you need to, okay, you bring them a glass of Coke, they take a sip, they're like, nah, not really. Okay, cool. You bring them a glass of cream soda, now they're like, okay, we're getting there, but no, not really. So you have to go through all these different things, and then finally it's like, oh, you like Fanta Orange at the end of the day.
I understand.
Where somebody like Big Chef is like, maybe I want Fanta Orange.
Yeah.
Give me Fanta Orange.
100%.
Shut. I know exactly what to do. I know where to go. So an example of a W is literally his whole food truck, because it wasn't difficult to conceptualize it. He's a very straightforward person. He knows what he wants. Before he even messages me, he thinks about it, and then he'll let me know. Like like he said in the podcast, he'll phone me and be like, Jackie Chan, what's up? I'm like, oh, hey, bro, how you doing? Cool. Look here, I need to make a sticker for this. We need to do this. Okay, cool. I think we should. I want it to look like this, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll run you a concept. I'll send it to you. You let me know what you want to do. I'll send it to him. He'll either be like, okay, cool, bruh, send to print, or okay, cool, okay, do this, and then be good. And then after that, like after the second time talking about it, we're basically done.
Yeah.
And then there've been times before where there was one customer I'll never forget where they wanted to start a business and they wanted to do. Obviously they need to come up with a logo for whatever they're doing. So I'm like, sure, let's go ahead. What is the business about? I normally ask questions so I can also get the general idea because certain businesses have themes. So like if it's got to do with automotive, you're gonna put a spanner in the logo as an example.
That's exactly why I'm asking you this question, because this is an extremely painful point for me, because like you're saying, like your cool drink analogy, spot on. I definitely understand it.
Yeah.
And also another thing, okay, finish the story.
Let me finish it. So yeah, what had happened was, I'm not gonna go into detail because I don't like putting people on blast or putting them on the spot, but I had literally gone through working on like 5, maybe 6 logo concepts with this person, and every time I would send the person something, there would have to be so many changes to the point where I lost luck, and I was like, bro, you can keep your money. At this point, I'm like, you can literally keep it. I'm fine. Find somebody else to do it, because I just lost luck completely. But like I said, it was because I feel like the person, we eventually did get to a point where like they were happy enough with what we did and they went on, and I haven't seen that business or that logo ever since. But they kind of didn't know what they wanted, and it felt like they were kind of hoping that I would help figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they knew. So let's say, for example, the business is they sell fruit. So, okay, you sell fruit. Okay, what kind of fruit do you sell? No, I just sell fruit in general. Like, I don't specifically sell apples or pears. I have a wholesale fruit market. I only sell fruit. Okay, sharp. So let's try and let's start off your logo. Let's make it an apple with a banner across that has your company's name. Oh, that sounds cool. You send it to the person. They're like, okay, I don't like the way it looks. Then I'm like, okay, cool. Let's scrap the apple. Let's do a banana. We do the banana. Come back. Okay, cool. It looks a bit better, but I still don't like it. And then we would like, at some point we went through like the entire fruit basket, and they still weren't really happy. And then I was like, okay, so just as an example, I was like, okay, what's your favorite fruit? No, I like strawberries. Okay, sharp, let's make it a strawberry. Then we do the strawberry, and then they were fine, like, okay, cool, yeah, maybe this can work. Like the response was a bit better than what I've been getting the entire time. So I was like, okay, cool, if you're happy with this, then I feel like we got somewhere, and then we got to a point. But the painstaking part of it is that you get given a brief by a client or a customer, whoever the person is, and you've told me what you want me to do. I then do that thing, and then you come back and say, oh, but I don't like it. But you forget that this was your idea. You know what I mean? You forget that you were the one who told me, oh, hey, make the cup white and make my text black like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The concept for mine was also a very difficult decision, because believe it or not, this was actually supposed to be like a corporate fanfare.
Okay, I get that. Yeah,
that was the initial concept behind
Brag with your brand.
Yeah, name. So
I mean, it makes sense.
Initially when I started off, that was my concept.
Yeah.
But like I say, there's a lot of things that you're saying is really resonating with me. I'm glad actually that I'm not the only person there, because like I told you earlier about the drawing, you also have a moments like, yo, am I a weirdo or what? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Something going wrong. I also realized, like, I just told you I can't draw.
Yeah.
So I rely on a lot of maybe templates or stuff that. The writing is never a problem, because I mean text-based or writing design, we kind of spoiled in it. Category, if I can put it that way, you know. But I'd like to hear your opinion also. Like, I had a DJ that was here now. You have different genres of music, you know. You have different genres of tattoos. I see you also got tattoos, etc. But like, you get a lot of different tattoos, like
styles of
portrait or Samoan or whatever the case may be. What is your
my niche.
I was gonna ask for your favorite, but give me your niche
So
and
my
then give
my
me your favorite.
like you're talking about the art that I do specifically.
Correct.
Okay, so my favorite that I don't really get to do a lot of because people don't really seem to be into it. Like in PE, I've been asked to do it for people that are not in PE, but in PE, people are kind of I wouldn't say they follow the norm, but whatever's popular, they like it. So like people like a lot of you'll know a lot of guys watch like anime and then stuff like that. So like I've never really been big on anime in the first place. Yes, surprising, I know, but I've never liked anime that much. But I've always liked comic art, but I don't get to do it that much. I've done it like privately for like friends and stuff like that.
Wait. When you say you don't like anime but you like comic art, just break it down for me.
So it's not the same. It's not exactly the same thing. They're
I
similar,
understand. Yeah.
but they're not the same thing. Like if I had to show you, or
Give me two characters as an example.
so a good example, like yeah, okay, here's a great example, and everyone will understand this. Superman and Goku don't look the same.
Yes.
Goku is an anime character.
Yeah.
Superman is a comic book character.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's so I would rather if there was a book that had Superman in it, I'd be more prone to read that than read a manga book with like anime character. I like Dragon Ball and like the other generic like Avatar: The Last Airbender is still my favorite anime of all time, but I was more drawn to comic art, but I think because like it was the first real proper art that I consumed when I was younger. I'm assuming that if I was exposed to anime when I was a child, because I mean Dragon Ball Z came out in like what 1980 something or late 80s,
I'm a
early
Dragon
90s.
Ball Z fan.
It came out long ago, but Dragon Ball by the time we watched Cell Saga, I was like old already.
Yeah.
But anyways, if I had been exposed to that and that was the first piece of art that I consumed, I'd probably be more into anime. But like I said, I was surrounded by comic books, so I like comic art. So for those of you who know, like for example, did you watch the animated Spider-Man film, the Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse films? Like that is like I love the way that looks. And people who've seen me draw digital portraits for customers will see that in my artwork. Yeah, you'll see it like these hints of it. So that's what I love, but I don't get to do often.
Yeah.
But what I'm known for is doing logos, mainly logos, and doing like just general digital illustration. Like I draw a portrait of somebody, but like I do it straight on the laptop, which is what I love doing.
Yeah.
It's what's called stylized. So like the lines are very thick and pronounced. Like if I draw your jaw, you can see that your jaw is there. Like I won't shade it in. Like I'll draw a line to show you where your jaw is, where the bridge of your nose is, things like that. Yeah. Shuki can show you because I did one of him also before. Yeah.
Okay.
A while ago.
I think you did show me now.
Yeah, it was a minute ago that I did one of him. But like that's the way that's the one I like doing. But like my favorite, if I had to ask somebody to do a portrait of me, I'd be like, do it comic style.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's my favorite.
It's funny that you mentioned Spider-Man. I'm also a big Spider-Man fan. What's your, this is a bit off topic, but I mean, why not? We are here to talk, right? What's your opinion on the evolution of the Spider-Man movies? And the reason why I ask that is I'm really upset with this. I'm really upset.
I have a feeling that you're gonna bring up something controversial, but let's do it.
Like the whole Spider-Man thing, first things first, like we have to be okay with the remake of movies and superhero characters or series or sagas as we get older. That's part of life. That's
People
the
being
business that is
recast.
being run on the other side of the world.
People being recast and stuff.
Yeah. So I was like lifetime into the whole Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, right? Then the Amazing Spider-Man came along. So the change there for me was like, I didn't like it.
You weren't
too
prepared
much.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it. Obviously, I watched it with my son, but I mean, for me, like the storyline has changed now, man. You know what I'm trying to say?
I get you.
I get like, I don't know if you can relate to what I'm saying, but we both can look at the camera lens. I will see the light side of the lens, you will see the dark side of the lens, which means there's two sides to the story, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Unless one of us decides
two different perspectives.
Unless one of us decides to either creatively describe it and the other one's using it plain, or it's a lie.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I get you. Yeah.
So when that went out, I was like, why would you change like a winning formula type of vibe? Because I just feel like I understand that people get older, because another movie saga that I really like is Undisputed with Yuri Boyka, Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
So I understand this dude is getting old, but I mean, like in the last, is it the last one? Eh? The second last one, this dude's like still jumping around like in his no 30s, early 40s. Yeah, my man. You see? So I'm just like, why would you change your Spider-Man if this dude is working? Because I mean, there's like a lot lot of characters. There's a lot of villains. There's a lot of basically unpublished or unshared characters. You get what I'm saying? Then we get to the point like with this last one. Just like just put me.
Yo, I can feel the like it's actually warm how the disappointment is going
Yeah,
on.
it's like why would you
Oh,
get
that's
a
crazy.
younger dude? I understand it because no disrespect to the ladies out here, but
Of course, yeah.
face be fact, sooner or later, either you can't or your body can't, or the audience
Anymore,
wants to
yeah.
see a younger person play a specific role or do a specific scene, if I can put it that way,
Yeah.
right? But you get to a point like there can only be one Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
I
saying?
get
There
you, yeah.
can only be one Steven Seagal. There's only one Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
And I don't expect Spider-Man to be Steven Seagal. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But I'm saying like if they planned it properly, they could have carried on.
Essentially,
with
what
the
you're
same
saying
guy.
is like what you would have liked, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But for example, here's a good example: Mission Impossible. It's always and only will only be Tom Cruise.
100%.
So you were hoping that was gonna be
Not only the character, I really think he was a good fit. But I
Yeah.
mean,
But you mean like because Tom Cruise as the main character in Mission Impossible was a winning formula, they should have just stuck with it and made like
yeah. Why
six
did you
movies with the
fiddle
same
with
bra
it?
and not
100%.
change him?
Like John Wick.
Yeah, no.
John Wick's
It's gonna
a
be
good
Keanu
example.
Reeves.
And then I'm
I
also
actually
Keanu
have an
Reeves.
explanation for you if you're down for it. This is just me making logical. First, okay, so this is the let's call it the industry explanation for it. Is
Yeah.
that when okay, so here's something that some of you, if you're a nerd like me, as you can see, I've got a spider tattoo on my arm. Some of you will know this, some of you won't. So certain publishing and distribution companies can own the rights to a character,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know if you know or noticed, but have you noticed that you can only play the Spider-Man game on a PlayStation? And there's a reason for that.
What do you mean only on a PlayStation?
Spider-Man does not exist on Xbox at all. Like you can't play a Spider-Man game on like an Xbox One or an Xbox Series S because it doesn't exist. You can't buy Spider-Man 4. But that's because Sony, the company Sony that makes phones and speakers and shit, they own the rights to Spider-Man. That's why, don't you remember back in the day when the PS3 came out,
Yeah.
the big one that looked like a car amp? When that thing came out, across the top, the name was PlayStation 3, but it was in the Spider-Man font of the Tobey Maguire movies. I don't know if you remember. But
Yeah. Actually, it's
yeah, you're seeing it. It was in chrome lettering. That was Sony basically, middle fingering everyone to say we own Spider-Man and there's nothing that you can do about it. Like we own him. You can't play him on any of your machines. So what happened was, if you look at when you watch any Sony movie in the beginning, it'll always like any Spider-Man movie in the beginning, 9 out of 10, it'll always say Sony. And yeah, so initially Sony and it's not Paramount Pictures, but Sony and another production company had released the Tobey Maguire movies, and then later on it changed to a different production company. So they made another Spider-Man movie, but it had nothing to do with Tobey Maguire. It kind of was like another, because like those of you who know, those of you who are nerds, there's not like one Spider-Man. Like other characters, like there's only one Daredevil. You know what I'm saying? But with Spider-Man, there's like 10,000 different Spider-Man that exist. So if we watch the last live action film with Tom Holland, that was like their way to let you know, like, oh yeah, by the way, you see that the other Spider-Man came back and they're all bras now. It's because we're trying to introduce you to like the fact that this whole Spider-Verse situation is a thing. That's what they were doing. That's what I take away from it. But if you're not, it's not for you, it's not for you.
even like
But yeah.
I was gonna touch on what you're saying also now. Like, how do you bring somebody from the dead? Because remember, if you go to watch a movie, you go to watch this movie, right? There is what is this Triple X.
Yeah.
So when they moved from Vin Diesel, they moved to Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes back in the third one. But Ice Cube is a character in the installment, is what I'm trying to say. So now we get to a stage where Tobey Maguire finishes off, we move on to the next one. Now we go into the third. I don't even know what his name is. After like half an hour, I just shut down because how does everybody know in the Spider-Man movie? It's not in the comic books, it's not been in the series.
Yeah.
Not in the anime or the previous movies that the auntie of the house finds out you Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
that kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? All the years,
Actually, she
there's
does.
also
She actually does at some point. She
that's
does
what I'm
find out.
saying.
Yeah,
There's also
she
a
does
point
find out.
like where there's
Mm.
Mary Jane is always Spider-Man's girlfriend, whether it's Tobey Maguire, Kevin,
Yeah.
Peter, Frank, John, Paul, whoever you are,
Yeah.
Mary Jane is the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who plays that character?
Yeah.
Who plays that character? That's up to the recording staff,
The
cast,
directors
the
and stuff, yeah.
directors, and all those beautiful things. I'm not a director or anything like that, but what I'm trying to say is, you change the whole storyline,
Yeah.
and you expect to. I don't know if retain is the right word, but
I get you. Yeah. I
there's
know what you
previous people that have been following this to
Yeah.
like kind of came back to the cinema to check how times have changed, because
Yeah.
that's another thing I want to touch on with you is the fact that um again, I'm not an artist, so if I get my
Yeah.
wording a little bit
No,
wrong,
it's all
please
good.
bear with me.
Yeah.
But there's the
all
HB
good.
pencil that 99% of the world is
Yeah.
familiar with.
Yep.
If you're an actual artist, then you get into the 2H and the other lighters, etc., and whatever it's called. But the fact of the matter is, your HB pencil is your HB pencil.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter stays your 2H stays your 2H.
Yeah.
There's no 3 years from now seeing you and be like, yes, a 2H and HB combined, bro. You get what I'm trying to say? So that like really, I don't know. Maybe I was too big of a fan or something, but that really didn't work for me. It threw me completely out.
I mean, yeah. I always say to each their own. Some people like it, some people don't. I wasn't mad. I didn't. I'll admit that when they made the Amazing Spider-Man, when the first one was like, I was like, they didn't really. They made him look weak, and then the second one came, and I was like, there we go. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is finally to put some respect on his name. And then even when Andrew Garfield popped up in the third new Spider-Man series of movies, I was like, yeah, no, this is what it should be. But yeah, but to each his own. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it. I just always say, like, if you didn't spend millions of dollars making it, then it's okay. You bought a ticket, you watch, or you watched it at home, whatever the case might be. If you didn't enjoy it, just it's not. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
No, for sure. Sorry about
It's all
the
good.
Spider-Man.
I love that debate though, because it's always fun to have, because I've been a Spider-Man fan for a long time, so it's always a good conversation to have. But I know that depending on the topic of conversation, whether it's either that, anime or sport, namely either rugby or soccer, the homies get passionate sometimes.
Yeah, Jason will tell you I'm very passionate about my football as well.
Yeah.
So
I remember you guys talking about it. Yeah, I watched it. Sorry.
yeah, no, for sure. So like you, the art, the football is basically for me.
Oh, crazy. Okay, I get
Yeah, for both me and my younger brother.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
You play? Or used to play?
I used to play. I stopped 2 years ago.
Who did you play for?
Where?
Yeah.
I moved out of PE for a while, but I started off at Rovers, and then when I came back to PE, now I'm plus playing at Kelly's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know Kelly's. I don't know. When I was younger, when I started, when I started getting into like sport and stuff, I could have been like 9. I played for Glenville.
Okay.
But it wasn't long. In my family, you have one of two options when it comes to sport, like on my father's side specifically. For those of you who know, for those of you who don't, it's either you play soccer or you swim. And I did soccer for a bit, and I was like, nah, not so much. And then I was like, cool, throw me in the pool rather, it's fine. And I enjoyed that a lot more. Swimming was better. Shout out Uncle Keith, much love.
Who is it now?
Swimming instructor, my uncle.
Okay.
Uncle. I swam with like a lot of the guys that he trained.
Yeah.
So if you go to the beach and you see the lifeguard dudes with the red shorts,
Yeah.
the seagulls, a lot of them come through my uncle's like teaching. Like a lot of them come through his hands.
Okay.
So yeah. Him and my uncle
that's
Fernando.
dope.
But yeah, so that was like the family sport on my side. So like we also have a lot of guys who like soccer, but and then there's a lot of other of my cousins and stuff who like swam. And I was one of the swimming cousins. So yeah.
Okay. So you guys are labeled as the artistic swimmers.
Essentially, or the artistic soccer players, yeah. Yeah,
That's something unique.
It is very unique, yeah. It's an odd combination, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is also completely off topic. So with the tattoos, it's a bit obvious that I cannot ask you.
Yeah. So like
Right.
it goes up all the way to there. Can you guys see what it is?
No, I was okay, but go ahead. I wasn't gonna ask you that. I was just saying like your level of attention to detail is extremely high.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do this. I would love to say I did this on myself, but I did help the artist kind of come up with the designs for.
I
Like,
was
so all the
gonna ask
tattoos.
you that now. How was the experience? Were you like, hey man, this shading is not right here. Hey man, this line is.
I trust my
At least not like it.
I trust my artist completely. I've been with the same tattoo artist for it could be like the past 10 years now. No, we're 2025.
Yeah.
So it's more than 10 years actually, because I think I got the first tattoo with him like
him a shout out.
2013. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who do Nine Lives tattoos in Westbourne Road in Central, Port Elizabeth, right across. You know where Delbro in Central? Where they sell the formal clothes? There's a Delbro store that sell like
Then next to the bed store, ne?
Mm,
Albany Road, KFC, this way.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you ride up Albany Road, you just before you get the robot there, before you get KFC, at the robot you turn left.
Yeah.
Literally like not even 100 meters down the street. There's a Delbro on your left. If you turn left into Albany Road, there's a Delbro on your left hand side. If you're outside Delbro, if you look to your right, you're looking at the place. It's called Nine Lives. My entire arm, my entire back was done there. I did something small there once. So on my father's side of my family, a lot of my cousins and uncles and some people we all have the symbols like our family's original surname. And then I did that first.
Sorry, say again?
Oh, like the original surname. So our surname wasn't always Ashin. It was actually something else. Like because of like the regimes. Have you never heard of that? Oh, history lesson for all of you. So when people were brought here, let me give you all a quick history lesson. So a lot of families that have been coming, like Indian families, no, not actually the Indian families, but some of the Chinese families and some of the other families that have been imported, let's call it that.
Yeah.
When they got here, their surname wasn't the surname that they have now. It was changed. So
yeah. So one of my previous cases, Indian, you said that happened to him.
Yeah. So then it happened to some of the Indian families as well. So what our family, I wouldn't have been given Ashin if they didn't change our name. I would have been given Tong, Tsong. So me and a couple of my cousins and some of my uncles, we all have that, like the Chinese calligraphy of the word Tong tattooed somewhere. So like some of them have it in their sleeve, like merged in, some of them have it on their own, and I have it on its own on my shoulder blade.
Okay.
So I'd been told about this tattoo place, and I was like, let's check it out. Let's do something small then. So that thing is no bigger than this little pot plant, like this big, guys. Like it's not that big. It's probably about like that big on my back.
Okay.
I did it and I saw it and I was like, yo, this chick made it look like it's been painted with a brush on my back. It's actually very impressive. And then it's run by a couple, Tara and Damien. Sweetest people you'll ever meet. Damien did I've got two koi fish swimming up my back. Damien did the two of them, and Tara did everything on my arm. As you can clearly see, I know you like your black and gray, but I have loved color tattoos. I've always as soon as I got the first one, the bug bit me, and I've never gone back. But and this one also I did with a friend, but this is just my favorite knife. But back to the topic of them. After I saw what they did on me, and I saw basically their body of work.
Yeah.
I've never criticized anything they've done on me, bro. Whenever they're done, I'm always like, this looks amazing. Thank you so much. I'm in a lot of pain, but I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nah. It's but now their work is excellent. You should really, for those of you who want to get like really detailed, proper big size tattoos, Nine Lives in PE is the place you want to find yourself at some point. Yeah. Especially when you do like things like color and like detail, like portraits and stuff like that. Nah, they're really good. They're brilliant.
I feel like the tattoo art, you must just correct me if I'm wrong, but the tattoo artist and like the artist games are like very, very similar. Because there's somebody by the name of EHK, Manny.
Shoutout Manny. I'm actually going to get a tattoo by him on we won't set the date, but like this Wednesday coming, I'm going to get a tattoo with him.
Yeah, so
Manny's like a family friend.
Oh,
he knows like all my cousins and stuff from Shore, yeah.
Okay.
We went to school with them and stuff, yeah.
Alright.
Manny's like black and grey in PE. Yeah, Manny their studio is quite good.
Very good.
Yeah, they really
I think he's one of the best, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Shoutout, definitely. We keep on missing each other, but my previous job or jobs don't allow me much freedom during the week.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been
it's tricky, yeah.
It's tricky, but I mean, I know him personally. This piece I got from Cameron Leroux. I don't know.
Oh, shout out Cammy. Cameron went to school together, yeah. Cameron's a good friend, yeah.
Okay.
Cameron's a very good friend.
Actually had we'll get there, but
yeah.
He as many now way back we used to see him draw. I wasn't in school with him. We met through a mutual friend, and he was a barber back in the day. So,
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that, man. I always saw him draw. I knew that he could draw.
He was I'm not even playing with you.
Yeah.
And it's really that's a lekker throwback also, because way back in the day, do you remember the fan haircut? You used to be able to do it.
That's crazy, but that
If
explains a
there
lot.
was, a time like
Hectic.
where people used to engrave their names on the earrings,
Yeah,
and then they would have something on the back of their head.
yeah.
I think I still have a picture of he done something for me like a
Oh,
while
that's
back.
bonkers.
Yeah, so even
Damn.
way back then, like we used to, it wasn't something serious.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we weren't friends like every single day.
Yeah.
But it's like all of like when we ride past each other, in
Greet and stuff like
wherever,
normal,
yeah,
yeah.
hundreds of things going, 100%. You know, so it's very similar, but obviously not the same.
Yeah.
If I could put it that way.
Mm.
The obvious thing being you can't rub this off.
Yeah, no, that's not
You
going
get what
anywhere.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually learned a bit about tattooing because there was a time where I went through like a phase where I wanted to do it. It was a while back though. I would chalk it up to possibly also like 10 years ago-ish. And the only reason why I did it was because I wasn't as confident as I am now, or maybe even as confident as I was maybe 5 years ago. Because with tattooing, like with art in general, like if you were drawing a picture of somebody or you're doing whatever you're doing, there aren't really much rules. As long as the person on the paper looks like the person in real life, it's kind of you've accomplished the goal. You know what I'm saying? You've nailed it. You've kind of nailed it on it. But I would compare it like with when it comes to tattooing, there's a lot of rules. There's actually a lot of rules.
Yeah.
Manny will tell you, and if you have any other people that are tattoo artists as friends or relatives or whatever, they will tell you like nowadays the rules have kind of been blurred a little bit from what I can see where tattooing is concerned. But like,
What do you mean blurred?
so a lot of the new, if you want to say like the more new school tattoo artists, wouldn't say they don't pay attention to the rules as much, but like they will kind of throw it off to the side a bit. But what I mean is like, for example, depending on this, like, okay, I'll use my arm as an example. So I've got a tattoo of a monkey on my arm. But the point of what I'm trying to make is that if I had to go to a tattoo artist and they had have this monkey drawn looking that way instead of looking forward in facing the same direction that I'm facing, you broke a rule. Because it's like one of the tattoo rules. Like there's a way the tattoos need to flow on a person's body for certain things. You know what I'm saying? So if you're drawing a portrait or drawing a picture of like anything that has eyes, they always have to be looking towards the front and the center of the body. So if I had a portrait of somebody on my chest on this side, and they were looking towards my shoulder, in old school OG tattoo artist eyes, they'd be like, "Bro, you messed that tattoo up." Even if you did it perfectly, they'd be like, instead of if the person in the picture was actually looking in that direction, then you should have put them on the other, like, chest muscle instead.
Yeah.
Because everything has to flow towards the middle. It's like there's rules. There's actual rules. Even
Is
though
this
it's
the rule or
yeah, it's when the tattooing when the art styles started like being developed and progressed to a certain point, those were the rules. And when I got into tattoo art, I got my first tattoos. I got them on the sides of my legs. My cousin Andy did it to me. But I was I was lying. I was 19, sorry. I was 19. My dad still took me. I was actually very surprised that he was going to do it. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. But I think it's just because he trusted it because it was my cousin. But when I went and spoken to people and I told them the ideas that I had, at the time I was dealing with I wasn't dealing with people like the likes of like Manny. Like Manny's the kind of person now, like if he will adjust your idea to what will look right for that body part. So like you wanted this half a sleeve. Okay, cool. You tell him, okay, cool. I want the ship. I want the compass. I want the scene with like the palm trees and the ocean and whatever. He'll make it all work to fit your arm. But back then they were a bit more strict about it. They will tell you straight, no, we're not going to do that. You can't. And you'll be like, what do you mean I can't? Like, no, it's not going to look right. They won't even try and like a lot of the tattoo artists now will still try and meet you halfway and like have it's like a consultation. So you sit down, you speak to the artist, tell them, listen, this is what I want, this is what I want to do. Then they'll be like, okay, cool, look, it might not look right. How would you try this instead? Let's do this, let's do this. Back in the day, they used to just tell you like, no, we're not going to do that, because in their mind, it's like they're so strict about the rules.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people really know this, but becoming a tattoo artist is not like you go buy a tattoo machine, you get the fake practice skin, or like, you know, the guys, I learned this after like getting into tattoos. Guys that practice on like bananas, bruh. Like any fruit that has a similar skin texture to an actual person, like where the skin of that thing is smooth, They would practice on that, like bananas. There's another, I think it's not a sweet melon. There's another type of melon that's like white on the outside, is green, and yeah, it's green on the inside. They practice on that. You do get this thing, it looks like a mouse pad, and then you have to put it on your thigh, like on your leg, to practice tattooing on a curved surface, and then it replicates real skin. But yeah, I'm putting you all in game, so that's how they do it.
No,
but
no, no.
You have to like put it down on your leg.
Now, my mind is thinking like, what happens if that thing goes through?
It doesn't go through. But then again, when you learn how to tattoo, when you become an apprentice, they have to teach you all these things, like how far the needle is going to go out of the thing, because it doesn't go out too far, because then you're going to go through all the skin and you're going to start tattooing the person's flesh underneath and that kind of. So like these guys go through all this. It's the same thing like you become a mechanic. Here's a good example. You become a mechanic, right? You go to, let's say, for example, you work at Continental Cars, you work at BMW, right? You get taught all these things. This is how you change pistons in the car. This is how you flush a engine block. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is how you do this.
Yeah.
There's a rule book. This is how it must get done. Da, 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 da. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for so long. And then somebody comes to you and they're like, I have this problem with my car. I need to flush out my engine. And you're like, okay, shop, no problem. I know how to flush out an engine because I've been instructed and I've been doing this for the past, let's say, 10 years. I know how to flush an engine. And the brat tell you, nah, maybe just go get dishwashing liquid and flush my engine out. Like, oh, you want crack? I can't just take Andy and squeeze it into your, into the top out of your engine here with the oil go in and rinse it out. It doesn't work. Exactly, it doesn't. You can't just pop the oil cap and squeeze in some Andy and like let the engine run, because that's gonna. It's in their mind. That's how it's like when you make them deviate from what the strict rules are. It's kind of like that's what you're asking them to do, something like ridiculous. You're asking them to like kind of like go up against everything that they've ever known and learned, to do it your way, and they're just like, nah, man, it doesn't make sense.
Isn't it like art?
No, not really. Because,
Because
like I said, with a portrait, you can get away with a lot. So, in art, we have, in more so visual art, you have things like, they call it mediums. So, a medium would be paintbrushes, a medium would be pencil, a medium would be chalk, spray paint cans, anything that you can use to physically make a picture somewhere. But then you have an art style that has kind of been born, and it was one of the things I was known for a while. It's called mixed medium. So you do it with a pencil and a pen and pastels, all mixed. Like it's the same picture of one person, but you might have outlined it with a pen. You might have did the hair with a Cokie. You might have done the lipstick of the lady with real lipstick. I've seen people do that, like they use real lipstick. So with art in general, like just general art, you can get away with it more. It's easier because unless you're doing fine art and you're like, okay, I'm doing a painting, like this specific painting with these specific paint materials, you can get away with just like winging it and just doing whatever. I there was a stage when I used to do a lot of art and shading and stuff with makeup, like real makeup brushes.
Yeah.
Well, it works on people in real life. I don't understand why it can't work on paper, and it does. But I was like, wow, that's amazing. But yeah,
for sure.
So like there are certain art forms that have very strict rules, and then there's others where you can just do whatever you want to.
Yeah. Okay. We're just over the hour mark now. We're just gonna take a quick ad break. Just refuel the system and that. I won't keep you for too long today.
No, so.
But when you come back, let's have a bit of a in and out walkabout of basically how your specific cult or your specific trade has transformed from paper to computer, the equipment you use, and the software. You down with that?
I'm down with that.
Okay. We'll check you guys soon. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for tuning into the pod. It's proudly sponsored today by Deed Freak Media. For all your social media, advertising, marketing, and printables, please visit the website deedfreakmedia.co.za. Thank you so much again. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Back on into Brave with Your Brain, the podcast where we discuss how your
I'm just doing
idea turned into a side hustle.
Shout out to episode 1.
Yeah, definitely.
So
this is the more relaxed part of the podcast. I think we covered a big vast majority. of what we wanted to cover in the
Yeah.
beginning. So without further ado, like, is there any shout outs you can give to any creators that you have in your circle, YouTube pages you follow, people that basically showcase towards the artistic side of life? Because this is gonna sound a little bit weird coming from somebody that's not actually an artist, as in a
Yeah.
drawing artist, but art carries a very special place in a different community. When I
Yeah.
say community, you know what I mean, but just for
Yeah.
the audience sake, beg your pardon, like when you see movies about art getting stolen, there's a community, like a wine and cheese type of
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
When you go to an art gallery, there is a different form or different style or different group of people within the art community. Like we were kind of discussing offline, where you get people that only draw, you get people that only paint, that only aerobrush, that only
Yeah.
sculpture, etc. You know, so is there anybody that you would like to shout out anyway on any platform, whether it be a photographer, videographer, YouTuber, that basically holds a place in your, I would say, in your art to showcase art or makes a good effort to showcase it?
Yeah, a lot of them is basically a lot of them. Well, actually, it's all friends of mine. I'm very inspired by people that are around me.
Yeah.
I keep those people close. Like anyone that I wouldn't say, it's not that I would say like I piggyback off people, but like if I like keeping people around me that motivate me to be better at what I do myself.
100%.
Even if it's somebody that's not really doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
if I see somebody that's passionate enough about what they're doing, that's motivation enough. One person that I can think of, and you guys should really check him out. He's from East London, but it's a good friend of mine. He actually was somebody that I admired him a lot, man. I saw him, or I actually saw his art one day, and I was wondering like, who's this guy? And one of my friends told me, okay, I'll tell you the story. It's a very short story.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with Devin Fatter. Shoutout, guys. Much love. So he's a friend of mine. He runs he currently or like he's basically one of the guys that runs the FAA sports venue in Fairview. Like where they have the five-a-side soccer on the turf.
There by Matthew.
Yeah, by Potty, Matthew Potty. Shout out to Matthew Potty as well for
Yeah, shout
giving
out
us
to
a
you.
place to come and have our events and stuff. Keep doing what you're doing, homie. But anyway, so a while back, Devin had this event called the House of Hip Hop, and for each DJ that he had at the event, for like the various events, they had an illustration of each DJ, like just like Head and Shoulders. And I saw them, I was like, damn, this is really good. Like I would love to get into this level.
Yeah.
And Devon's like, oh no, it's this dude or not. Yeah, I don't know him on a personal level, but I hired him for this because I saw his work and I saw his work was dope. And then at the time, something that I wish, please, whoever can, if you're listening and if you're watching, whoever can bring back this thing, I'll tell you more about it in a sec. I'll make it really short though. It was called Colors of You. It was Colors of You.
Yeah.
Like Colors of You. It was basically an art event that happened in PE. It happened like I think twice, three times. I only made it to go to one of them because I'd actually been approached by them. They were looking for artists, and then I got an email one day and they were like, hey, listen, you're an artist, you want to come through. But I went to this event. They had like a build up to it. And then they had the actual event where like dancers could come through, singers, rappers, stage performers, whoever you were. If you were doing anything creative and you were living in PE, you literally had like VIP access to this event.
Okay.
And they did interviews with us and like asked us to bring things that we were doing. So at the time, I wasn't really illustrating that much, but I had done the graphic design work and I wore stuff that I'd made. So like t-shirts and caps and crap. I wore that as part of my presentation as to who I was.
Okay.
And then I had found the guy who did Devon's illustrations for the House of Hip Hop, and I was like, oh, that's a dude. And then we became familiar with each other, and now he's one of my best friends. He's like my bra, like to the point where it was my father's birthday. Like my father had a big birthday, he had a 50th birthday like 2 years ago. And it was like, you know, when you have a function and you have like those friends that have been in and out of the house, and when they have a function and blah, blah, then if they're not there, you talk people on my phone, be like, maybe where you? The braai is on already, you're not here yet.
Yeah.
My father phoned this guy, was like, yo, but he had moved to Joburg. He's doing really well in Johannesburg. I'm very proud of him. But he had moved away. But shout out Unati. I'll give you his social so you guys can go check him out. But he's been involved like from being just an illustrator and working at like a local design firm here. He's gotten to a point where his illustrations were on a Simba campaign.
Okay, dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like you go buy a packet of Simba chips and this dude's drawing is on the packet of Simba chips.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. Like I spoke about dancing earlier on, and I'm not really active in it. I go to events and I help with whatever I can. But shout out to Chrissy as well. Chrissy Dance, she's doing a lot for dance, specifically more hip hop dance in PE because, as you know, I'm a piano took over. We're not mad at you guys though. You guys are doing a great job. But hip hop kind of died in PE a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Like in Cape Town, it's still alive. In Joburg, it's still alive. Places like Bloem, Durban, it's still alive. PE, it kind of died on a bit, and we were like a place where people would have national events, like where people would come down from Cape Town, come down from Joburg to come and compete in PE. That doesn't happen in a long time.
Okay.
So shout out to Chrissy, shout out to Chizzy, all the guys that are active in the dance community. Shout out to you too.
Yeah.
But yeah, off the top of me, those are the ones I can think of who are doing really creative stuff where like you can actually go and find what they're doing and you can actually support them in what they're doing because I mean we all it's the only way to keep it alive is to show them some support. So those are groups of people I can think of off the top of my head now that I would like to shout out to. But yeah, the art community is very niche. I just feel like not to diss anybody that you I wouldn't say I'm dissing them, but like things where people are using like AI and stuff now. It is a hindrance because now people think that doing art is easy. It kind of discredits people like myself and other artists and other designers that have been working really hard to get to the point where we are now, where we can make something for you from scratch. And obviously AI can do it, like you type in what you want and you press enter and the picture exists. But to those of you who are still drawing from scratch, who are either making clothing from scratch, seamstresses, people who sculpt clay, Playful Cola, shout out to you too. Friend of mine who does, she can make anything, like she makes jewelry out of clay, but you can tell her like, I want a pair of strawberry earrings and she'll make you a pair of earrings with like little clay strawberries dangling from them. Her work is amazing. So Nicole, shout out to you too. But yeah, to anyone who's just like really perfecting their craft, trying to make sure that like it doesn't die, keeping it alive. You're passionate about it, you're taking it seriously, and it's something that you hold dear to your heart. Shout out to all of you, because you are not doing anything wrong. You're doing the right thing. Some might be progressing faster than you, and that's okay, but just don't give up. So shout out to all of you.
All right. Check. But firstly, you explained this in a very different way. I wasn't actually expecting it, but I want to put you on the spot now.
Yeah.
No, fine. I'm going to put you on the spot now quickly, just for one question. Nothing rude, nothing aggressive or anything like that.
Let's go.
But you, not you specifically, I mean in general, people do stuff for a certain amount of years, and as you continue to grow, you continue to glow, and you continue to learn.
Yeah.
That's just how the process works. You know? Once you get to a certain level of confidence or a certain level of skill, you obviously expect a certain level of interception.
Yes.
Right? So what you just said now happened to me like not too long ago.
Okay.
Somebody drops me a inbox, they're like, oh, I hear you a podcaster. So I'm like,
I hear.
Okay, hi.
Word on the street.
Yeah. Okay, not word on the street.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. So how do you respond to something like that? Obviously, you've got more weight under your belt and more experience than I have now, because I'm not even at the 5-year mark now. You are how long now? Since school, so I would assume.
You mean like when I'm doing design like professionally, or just being an artist in general?
No, design work specifically, no. So
if it's 2025 now, me taking it seriously has been, I would say it's probably been about 10 years now. 10, where like I've been doing things and I've actually had like clients where people are like, here's money, I would like you to do artwork
for me.
Yeah, where that has been exchanged before. This is one of the things that maybe, okay, you wouldn't relate, but there are people who are watching this and they'll relate. It's not really in PE specifically, but it's probably like a cultural thing. Where people think that when you are an artist, it's a hobby. So they don't feel like you should be paid for it. You know what I'm saying? It's something similar to like when people find out that you're a musician, it's like, oh, I'm getting married, you want to play at my wedding. You know what I'm saying? So like you find out your brother's a guitarist and it's like, okay, cool. It's his hobby. He can come do it at my wedding. He likes to do it anyways. And that's one of the things I faced. It was a struggle for a long time where people would expect me to do artwork of any kind where like they either want a logo or they want to design something to put in a shirt and have the shirt printed, or they want a portrait of their mother. And then they think they don't know the journey that I'm on, where I'm trying to make this a professional thing now, where it became the side hustle, where I clock in from I work from 9 to 5, and then 1 minute past 5, I'm now the designer guy now. I'm the artist dude. Like I've clocked into the next job, you know what I'm saying? So that was a struggle where they feel like it's not
I actually understand what you said.
they don't feel like they need to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? It's something similar to like where one of your friends might be. I always refer. I don't know why I keep referring back to car people. Maybe because I have a lot of car friends, and I'm also like I love cars. But it's like having a friend who, like people who work on cars. Sometimes like you might be a motor mechanic, but you know something. You know a bit about electrical, but because you don't specialize in electrical, because you sorted out my wiring. Man, but it's not what you do. I'm not gonna pay you for that. If you had to be like, if you had to do a service for me, it's a different story. But my router wasn't working. You reconnected my wires. We're good. That was a thing that I struggled with for a long time. Where people were just like, they didn't really feel like what I was doing was worth paying because they thought it was a hobby. It was a pain in my, it was a pain in my backside.
Exhaust.
Yeah, in the exhaust.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I'm in the tailpipe. But
yeah. No, for sure. I definitely hear what you're saying, and I spoke about it with our previous guest. Now it was Lolo.
Yeah.
So I
Shout out Lolo.
Yeah, shout out my famous friend, our local celebrity.
Yeah, Mr. Personality.
So I hear what you're saying. So I'm just gonna dive in quickly. To would you rather? So you gonna have a left or a right? You choose one. If not, you can skip the question.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna ask anything awkward or
that's all good.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So for you, drawing freehand or in software, something like Illustrator?
Freehand.
Freehand.
Always.
PC or laptop?
Oh, if you had to ask me this question a while back, I would have been like straight PC. But I've come to learn to love laptops. So right now, I'm a laptop kind of guy. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put you even more on the spot now. Laptop or iPad?
I would still go. Yeah, it's just. I would still, just for the sake of functionality and being able to handle the work, I would still say laptop. I would still say laptop. Yeah.
Okay. iOS or Android?
Android.
The Adobe Photo Suite or Canva?
Okay. If I have to choose between those two specifically, you guys are gonna judge me, but I'd probably work on Canva instead. It's so much easier. It's so much easier. That's so much easier.
Black and white or color?
Always color.
Always color.
Always color.
Portrait or freelance?
When you say
picture-wise now, like a portrait or freelance picture?
like what? Like
inspired by something or somebody?
I would rather go with the inspiration picture. I was never really somebody that used to like to draw people's faces. I learned to love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes my stuff is kind of abstract, so it's not always like a picture of a person's face. But okay, then I'd rather, because I've come to learn to love it also now to a degree.
Yeah.
And I find it easier because of like practicing it so much and doing it so much. I'd probably go to portraiture, but it probably wouldn't be like the portrait that you would be expecting, but the portrait of a person actually.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that actually instead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite search engine?
My favorite search engine, in general, Google search engine. This works like a bomb.
Still Google.
Still Google.
Okay.
Google still works for me, anyways. Google still works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your preferred place to go scrolling? Your favorite social media platform?
But in general, Instagram.
Instagram is your go-to.
Mainly because I've kind of turned my own Instagram into Pinterest because of all the artists and things that I follow. So I follow a lot of dancing personalities and pages. I follow a lot of martial arts pages and people. I follow a lot of artists in general. So like,
are you a martial artist?
No, I'm not I wouldn't call myself a martial artist, but I have done I've learned martial arts. Like there was a time I had an insane capoeira phase. I'd watched this one movie.
So you can do like the Irigodo.
Not like on that level, but there was a time when I was like very fascinated by it, so I love that.
Okay.
And my grandfather used to be a karate instructor. So I learned how I know to defend myself. I know to get out of the clutch. But I've always been fascinated by martial arts because it's a really cool way to keep fit. So I always enjoyed it. But I've turned my Instagram news feed, my news feed. I've turned my news feed into Like all the things that I would look, I don't have to always go into Pinterest to find something that I want to look for. I can just go on Instagram and scroll for like 2 minutes, and I would have probably found it if I don't search it myself.
Okay.
So Instagram is like my go-to.
Yeah. So where do you store most of your work that is not published? So this is something like you were saying earlier, you've got 3, 4, 5 logos, number 5 hits. What do you do with number 1 to 4?
Okay, I can actually explain it's not really a process, but I can explain. So when I do logo work, those of you who do know this, and there's a lot of you that don't know this, because I know a lot of people, when you think design work, everyone always jumps Adobe. It's like the standard. Like everyone knows it's like a globally recognized design software. But I use a software called CorelDRAW, and it's the design and print industry standard software. So like for people that work in places where you make things that are going to be print, like it's either going to be like packaging for boxes, posters, banners, blah blah, whatever. That's the
What is the other one called now again? It's also a designing platform. It's not Adobe and it's not CorelDRAW. There's another one.
There's a few, but the others are not. Corel and Adobe.
Yeah,
Generally
they're
Adobe.
the league leaders, the industry standard.
Yeah, they're the Samsung and the iPhone of the.
Yeah.
They're basically the Samsung and the iPhone.
I'm gonna get it. I don't know if I'm gonna
when
get
you
it.
get it, but it doesn't matter. But anyways,
Yeah.
So generally, a lot of backups get created on Corel specifically. Backups get created automatically. So let's say, for example, like you said, I worked on logo number 1, 2, 3, 4, and I named the first one D3. Let's call it D3, and then I come back to D3 later on, and I make another logo of D3 and I save it. When I go back to that folder, because all my clients on my laptop is very organized.
I'm horrible at it.
But I have a folder for everything. Everything has a folder and everything has a place. Sometimes my desktop gets a bit messy, then I'm like, okay, cool, it's clean up time. Like I spring clean my laptop like I spring clean my joint.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No, mine's like Spider-Man.
Yes.
I know where everything is. It's a controlled mess, but believe me, I know what's going on.
It's called organized chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Organized
Same thing. Same thing.
So Corel will automatically create a backup of that. So it will literally say backup of D3.
Okay.
So in the folder, it will be D3, and then there'll be backup of. So let's say, for example, you wanted me to go back to something we had done before, and I'd already saved the new one.
Yeah.
I can always go to the backup file and access the older stuff. But everything, yeah. So it does that.
Cool.
I learned this mistake the hard way, but I never overwrite things. So it'll delete the previous one and keep the new one. I don't do that. After this one mistake where somebody was like, "Oh, do you have that old poster that you made me?" And I was like, "Ooh."
Unfortunately.
Yeah, nah, I overwrote it. Like, so we replaced the old one with a new one.
Yeah.
So after that mistake, I just learned, like, just keep the backups. If you know you're never going to use that item or that file again, I mean, by all means, delete it.
Yeah.
But I've got all. There was I'm pretty sure I know that I don't have it anymore because after a while he did something different. But I helped Shukri do one of his undefeated logos, and I remember that we went and we came back, and then he did another one where he wanted to have one for when he was doing the car events, and then he wanted to have another one for when he was doing the matric farewells, the weddings.
Yeah.
So we had to split them up and have two different ones, and then it got to the point where I just kind of merged the backup one and I just had them all in one thing. So yeah, and then eventually I was like, okay, Sugar's not going to change his logo for a while. Or then he changed it, but then he did it with somebody else, and I was like, shut, I don't need this anymore because I already sent him everything. But yeah, generally, like, there is a backup for what I've worked on before. Yeah.
Storage. You're gonna go with a hard drive on your computer or in the cloud?
I prefer on my actual laptop. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you might not be able to access the cloud. In South Africa, for those of us who experience load shedding or bad signal in certain places.
Or no signal.
Or no signal at all.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe, guys, you will change your life. Use solid state drives.
Yeah.
Solid state drives are your best friend because they cannot and will not crash. Trust me when I say switch to solid state drives. But yes, I prefer having even if I had to store it and keep it on a flash drive and then just plug the flash in and work. I'd rather have it at a tangible place when I can get to it whenever I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better.
What's your fuel to your creative process? Cup of coffee or some music?
Music.
Definitely.
Always music. Always. It's actually gotten to the point now where even at my day job, it's difficult to it's not difficult to work, but I concentrate a lot better even if the radio's playing. Yeah. Shout out to Rushley because we listen to Algo FM at work all the time. So shout out to Rushley because that's when I'm at my desk is when her show is on. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out definitely.
Shout out
to
to Ashley Bloom. And I'll go with him. But yeah, so I concentrate. It's gotten to a point where I concentrate better if there's just any music playing in the background. It doesn't even really matter what the genre is at this point. Like when I really want to concentrate, I'll play my playlist.
Okay.
But as long as there's music happening somewhere, I feel like, but I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm on the spectrum a bit because it got to the point where like if there's no music playing, I struggle to concentrate. It's at that point. But yeah, music is my fuel.
I'm gonna pick it up a bit now.
Let's go.
So Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie,
Jay-Z or Nas?
Nas,
Charolo, DMX?
DMX,
Ashanti or Mariah Carey?
Ashanti,
Jennifer Lopez or Missy Elliott?
Missy Elliott.
Missy Elliott?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Cardi-
music wise,
Yeah, yeah.
1000% Missy Elliott.
Okay. Cardi B or Nicki Minaj?
Nicki Minaj.
Lil Wayne or Drake?
That's actually a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not gonna give explanation. I'm just gonna fire off the round. Drake.
Okay.
Drake.
Eminem or Machine Gun Kelly?
MGK.
MGK or Eminem?
Yeah, I'm even really big. No disrespect to any Eminem
Yeah.
fans. I've just not really been a fan of his music that much.
Okay. Ronaldo or Messi?
Okay. I'm assuming you're speaking about CR7?
Yeah.
CR7.
CR7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I always, when people bring up Ronaldo, I'm like, which one?
Yeah. No,
OG?
No, fair enough.
OG or Pretty Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, but CR7.
Barcelona or Real Madrid?
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I want to go into detail with questions and I'll ask you like Barca and Real now or Barca and Real like pre-2010 when they had the heavy hitters on the team, when like Figo and Zidane and everybody was on Real Madrid at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's go with current standards and I'll go Barcelona.
Okay. Man United or Liverpool?
United.
Newcastle or Aston Villa?
Yo, okay. I will admit that I don't know much about both. I don't know too much about both teams. But I'll go Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Threads or X? New Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm on Instagram so much, I'll just Threads.
Threads, because it's right there, no?
Yeah, it's I'll be honest with you, I have a X formerly known as Twitter account, but it's literally just to enter competitions. That's all I have it for.
Okay.
I have it for no other reason but to enter competitions. That's pretty much it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
TikTok or Pinterest?
Yeah, okay, it's not a tough one. I do spend
I'm doing
time
this on
watching.
purpose because it's too broad spectrum.
Yeah, I do spend a lot of time watching TikTok, but I only watch it for Charlie Kirk because I love his debates.
Okay.
But what I do, I spend way more time, obviously more constructive time on Pinterest. So I'll choose Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Boxing or karate?
Ooh, boxing.
Movie or a series?
Movie.
TV or the radio?
The radio. Easily.
Podcast or cartoons?
Cartoons.
Hey, you're a real creative.
I'm a child. I'm a 33-year-old child. I do enjoy podcasts. Actually, I love them a lot, but I would probably watch cartoons instead if I had to choose. Yeah.
Earrings or tattoos?
Tattoos.
Watch or
Tattoos.
chains?
Watches now.
Yeah.
Watches now. Yeah.
Okay.
There would be a time when there would be a time before where that answer was different, but now watches. Yeah.
Okay.
I've come
Fancy sneakers or a full outfit?
Sneakers.
Sneakers. Food or sleep?
Food.
Definitely food.
Food.
Okay.
Food.
Travel or a new learning experience?
I'm not a big traveler, so a new learning experience. I've been getting into traveling lately, but I still feel like a new learning experience is more what I would choose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather go to a mall or to a natural experience?
More.
You like shopping?
Yeah. I like that you can go to a mall and you don't have to do it. You can do it alone. You know, sometimes like the outdoor, depending on the situation, the outdoor experiences, you need to be in a group of people. And I generally spend more time with myself. If my daughter isn't with me, or like Fro isn't with me, or like whoever, friends or family, I do generally spend a lot of time with me. So I can do that at the mall as well. There's been so many times I just go to the mall and do what I need to do, and I can easily do school. I don't need companionship for a lot of the things that I do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. 100%.
I feel like the outdoor
I'm also a
experiences.
loner.
Yeah, I feel like the outdoor experiences you do need to have somebody with you to thoroughly enjoy it, depending on the
100%. But
depending on the
setting,
experience, yeah. Depending on the thing, on the
Okay.
situation, yeah.
Who's your favorite comedy stand-up?
My favorite
Stand-up comedian?
of all time,
Yeah. Dead or alive?
Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle.
100%.
New school one, I would go Matt Rife also. Matt Rife is hilarious.
I don't know him. I'll definitely
Pretty
look
boy,
into
white
it.
dude, hilarious. But of all time, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Who's your favorite action star of all time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Not the karate movie. The karate
No, like
movie
just a
is
general
next, but
action
like
star.
action movie.
General favorite action star. That is a good question. I'm not very big into action films per se, but if I had to think of an action star whose movie, if I saw a movie and this person was in, I would probably watch it. Keanu Reeves actually.
Okay.
He's a solid
Yeah.
he's a solid actor. Yeah, no.
Best kung fu or karate actor?
My favorite of all time, and it's ironic that Big Chef gave me the name, is Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is the
Yeah,
bomb.
for sure.
Jackie Chan is the OG.
Your favorite arcade game?
Favorite arcade game that you mean Firebook Machine? Street Fighter. Street Fighter. Easy.
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
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 Yeah, but it's got the sneakers to match. So I just want to wrap it up on that note. I just want to say thank you. This was really, really informative. I know we met through mutual friends and obviously through different business to be over here. But
the main
I thank you. I definitely learned a lot from you.
Yeah, I'm hoping that everyone does. I hope that you guys take something away from it because it is an interesting discussion to have when you don't know anything about it, or you think you know a lot about it, and then somebody's like, "Oh no, but that's not how it works."
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's crazy.
I don't want to make this a sentimental moment, but I mean, you've done this before. You've obviously been on a podcast. I've seen what you do. It's really dope. But it's just as difficult because people you relax me. You savor the moment as well. So people expect you to look at somebody's work or the bulk of work that they've done, bearing in mind it's just not the case with you, but the bulk of your work could have been 3 years ago. I'm looking at the last 6 months of what you've posted type of vibe.
Yeah.
I could have been looking at your Facebook page, but your favorite platform is Instagram.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You said also that you like stuff physically. I've never visited your place of work or practice, so I wouldn't know what you've got stored in the vault. I wouldn't know what you regard as your highest piece of work, your most paid for work, the high level customers that you have handled, the versatility you have between working with two different industries, because I would only assume that it would be something different to design something for somebody in media that somebody in, I don't know, music.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So without further ado, my man, thank you very much. I'm gonna link his socials down below for anybody that's interested. Kindly check him out, give him a follow. If you need to get hold of his, before we get out of here, sorry, don't you want to list your services for the gram?
Sure.
What is it that you do and where they can get hold of you, etc.? I will have your socials.
I do have a Facebook page, Instagram page, and like a separate business number, but that you can find on Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, it's JFK Art, JFK, all capital letters. On Instagram, it's the whole name of the business typed out for, so it's just for Kickz Art. Kickz is spelled with a Z. If you see drawings in it, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Then you're in the right place. The things that I have done that I would suggest people come to me for is branding. I've done a lot of branding, illustrations, so like sentimental, like personal gifts for people. So like if you were like it's your mother's 60th and you smart to give her a nice drawing of herself, done that. When people want to start their businesses, so what that is called is when you start a business and you want to get everything off the ground, it's called the corporate identity. So like the logo, the email signatures, the business cards, I do that all the time. But yeah, just those are the three that I normally promote that I do. Generally, like whatever I design for people, if you want to have that made into any type of promotional or marketing materials like banners, the business cards, and things like that. And I also have recently, like for the past 2 years now, been helping people with their social media posts as well. I do for
the social media.
posts.
Okay.
So like when you need to make a poster for like to put on Instagram and Facebook, like put either advertising or marketing what your business does. That too, because that's become in PE in particular, it's become really popular over the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years. So yes, I do that as well. T-shirt branding too. I do it with my dad. So like anything that needs to be like printed on a shirt. I should have worn a Big Chef shirt today actually, because that's like my favorite one that I've ever done. But yeah, but that is the list of services, guys. If you need anything creative done from scratch, you know where to find it.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Once again, thanks for tuning into the Bag with Your Brain podcast, where your idea turned into a side hustle. Now you maintain it.
Before we go, I want to just say one thing quickly. This is it was a very interesting it was a very interesting experience because I did the Homeless Crusade podcast for a bit, and then recently I started doing the podcast with a chick Chrissy that I mentioned earlier. She has a podcast called the Passion Podcast. So when we go to events, I normally interview people. It was very interesting being on the side of the chair for a change.
Yeah.
Because now I'm the one who has to answer the questions, and I know how I've made all my guests feel over the years and all the people that I speak to.
You must give me a shout out. You know, it's been I think I've got almost 10 now completed, but I'm still learning as we go along. You know, there's some stuff you can't read in books. I know you're also a parent as well, but that's a very sidetracked example, but it's very relevant because I mean, you can read 120 books about kids, and then your child does the exact opposite.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So
you have to learn it on the go, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But I would like to participate one day. I don't know. I'll have to choose a setting, etc. But I would love to be a participant instead of an interviewer. You know? Like the other way around.
Yeah. It's actually, I it was such a lot of fun. I was like, I didn't really know what to expect, but I was like, I like making it a conversation, so it's easy. It feels like people are just watching me and you talk.
Yeah.
Like we're not like, okay, cool, question 1, question 2. It's like, nah, we're just having a general conversation. So
you know,
it's interesting.
To be honest with you, just before we get out here, there's a lot of things like you said about the tattooing the rules, you know, that there isn't actually in podcasting. Just out of interest sake, I'm sharing a human moment with you, but I try to consume as much as I can, either visual, excuse me, or via audio, obviously when I'm on the road, etc. That actually comes in handy. But like in the beginning, you know, what we spoke about here, like before, I used to have people walk into the frame, greet you, seat you, introduce you, have a brief introduction from your side, and then jump into the podcast. But that's not as popular anymore now. There's also like the fact, like for your setting, I'm recording in the same studio for the moment for this season. Obviously, we've got big dreams and big things coming. In the couple of months leading up to the let me not spoil the surprise, sorry. But we've got some good things planned up. But I'm just saying in general, like there's a certain expectation about your seating, your viewing, and all those beautiful things. But at the end of the day, like you said, it is actually two people having a conversation, if I can put it that way. You get what I'm saying? So you have a lot to do with big expectations in a still standing space, because I don't think it would be a podcast if you had to be walking around each other in a standing still, like in this room, speaking to each other, walking side to side to the room or in circles or whatever the case may be, you know? So definitely. But I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the time to take the time. I have a sit down. I definitely learned quite a bit from you. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Any shout outs before we get out of here?
I think I already shouted out everyone, but shout out, those of you who do know me, friends and family, shout out, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, I'll probably be back at some point again. Like, I would love to do like a catch up episode, like after like a lack of time has passed. Like, where are they? Where are they now? We actually we're supposed to do it in the Homeless Crusade at a certain point. And be like, let's bring the first 3 or 4 guests we had, like after like 2 years. Be like, okay, cool. So remember the thing you said in the previous episode? What happened with those projects you wanted to do? So I'll come back. Or like if you guys are doing any roaming things, I'll probably hop on. But no, just like I said earlier, shout out to everyone who's just doing what they do and doing it passionately, doing it with a purpose, doing it because you love it. Shout out to all of you, because you guys are what's helping us keep things like this going. So shout out to y'all.
Definitely. Like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. Brag is a brand. We out.